Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite St. Louis sports podcast, The Lunatics. I'm your host, Tyler Edwards, along with my quasi-friend and co-host, John Love, who is opening a beer to try to cut through my intro, as he usually does, try to ruin things early on, get things rolling here. We do have a special guest with us today, Tyler Hardy, who is a friend of ours, who also is a big fan of soccer. Prior to St. Louis City coming to town, I know we had our group chat that was named the EPL chat that was very quickly changed to the City SC chat once it was announced the name of our team. Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank
I
you for
like
having me.
I like how you skipped me there.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
No, it's fine. I would never, ever disrespect you, John.
You're trying to throw me off my game.
You
what's happening.
threaten to throw me off my game all the time, so I'm just testing you.
That's true. That's true.
As we have made a habit of recently, since I called you out on opening things, what are you drinking this evening, John?
Well, because I am apparently a four hands stan, one of my last two of my original variety packs from Christmas. This one is the marshmallow and chocolate milk stout.
Ooh.
I will be going to the liquor store this weekend and hopefully obtaining another of these variety packs because I liked every single one of them. So that's what I've got. What do you have?
I went with the Angel's Envy finished rye today. As usual, I'm back on the bourbon train and rolling with that. Tyler,
Absolutely.
are you drinking anything while you're trying to put up with our shenanigans?
Guinness.
Always a good choice.
Always a good choice.
Yep.
Now, I do have to say here before we get too far into this, so obviously when you guys refer to each other, Tyler to Tyler, everyone will know who you're talking about. But when I say Tyler, no one will know.
Nobody knows what you're talking about anyway, John.
I've come up with a solution that I think will work for everyone. And the solution is that when I say Tyler, I will be referring to our guest Tyler, out of respect, using his name. Thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm referring to the normal host Tyler, I will refer to you as Short Tyler. Because in this chat, you are Short Tyler.
I get where you're coming from. And I would also like to remind everyone here that I am 6'2". And John, what are you, 5'9"?
Hey, I'm just saying, Tyler, Short Tyler. We all wish we were a little taller, and it's okay. You don't have to be defensive about it.
Tyler, how tall are you, by the way?
I'm 6'5".
6'5". I was like, I know you're taller than me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't actually know how tall you are.
Yeah.
Once people are taller than me, I just assume you're half giant. Once people are taller than me, so I just kind of zone it out.
Yeah.
I found that 6'4" from my height, which is, the normal sized person, that at 6'4" is the height where it's 6'3" maybe. Anything above 6'3" is all the same. It's just really fucking tall to an average person. 6'2", I'm like, okay, yeah, that guy's kind of tall, but 6'3" and up, it's just holy shit, that person is tall. Normal stuff for you guys, but for us little folk out here in the world, it's new. But we're not here to talk about how heights we are. How heights we are?
Wow.
I did not pregame
John,
this.
Nope.
You fooled me.
He's been in his cups.
I've been in my cups. I'm sorry. We're not here to talk about how tall we are.
No, we are here to talk about, as you can probably tell by all of our jerseys, we are here to talk about the one and only St. Louis City SC in the upcoming season. Exciting things coming this year. We've gotten through our preseason, but now it's what do we do? Where do we go from here? And what do we see that's new? Speaking of new, there was some new things on the news feed earlier today. We released the new kit. How did you guys feel?
Go ahead, Tyler.
Well, whenever it first released, just a little underwhelmed. But the more I looked at it, the more we dug into it, I think the more we came to like it. Whenever I found out that the print was unique to every shirt, that's something very unique. And then with the 100% recycled, that's cool too. So I mean, the more that was revealed about it, I think the more that I came to like it. So it's still not as good as our home kit, but
Yeah.
I think they went really hard for that one.
Yeah. I had a similar feeling right off the bat. My issue at first was that it was too similar to the Spirit kit from last year, which Short Tyler is wearing right now if you're watching on YouTube. But that's okay. I do like it more in pictures than I think I liked the original photo. I think the first photo I saw of it was actually one that MLS shared, which kind of like whited it out.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really see the lines and the detail on it. Part of why I actually chose the jersey that I'm wearing today. So if you guys might recognize if you're watching, it's the Marvels jersey that they did, the warm-up jersey that they did last year. And I think this was true of a lot of the warm-up jerseys they did. I know the Hispanic Heritage one was the same way, but these are actually all unique as well. So I'm presuming they're doing it the same way with the City kit that they just added, where it's basically one giant pattern, and then each one is cut from a different spot on the pattern, basically, to make each one unique. But I really like it. I'm going to buy one. I probably won't buy one yet. I go back and forth a lot on it, but I really find it hard to justify spending that on it when I know it will be on sale if I can be patient. But yeah.
I think if I didn't already have the Spirit kit, I would be more inclined to purchase it. But
Yeah,
because
same.
it is so because it is so similar, it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, let me run out and go pay full price for it. What I do love is that they did put the Purina in the City Red, which I thought was a nice touch there on the jersey. And I don't know. I think, again, I agree with you. The initial picture, I also saw the one that MLS shared, and you couldn't see any of the detail.
It was
And
giving
then when
Toronto vibes.
yeah,
You know,
and then
absolutely.
when I got the link, when it popped up on my app, on the City app, and I was able to actually go into the City app and go to the link and look at the jersey, I felt a lot better about it, and it made me want it more. But again, I don't know that it's one that I'm like, oh, I have to have it tomorrow.
Right. Tyler, actually, if you lean back so I can show the viewers your red one. So you can see there on his that the logo is red on the primary kit. And someone actually pointed out to me a few weeks ago that because it's red on the primary kit, on that one at least, you don't really notice the sponsor as much because it tends to blend in a little bit more. That was a thought I had never had, but I did want to call that out since he was wearing one. But I'm excited. Like I said, I don't know. I hope I am brave, and I hope I am patient, because I don't want to spend that much money on it.
John's gonna buy one before the rest of us. He's
Yeah,
probably gonna buy one
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Mine's
If I
gonna have to be a
manage-
gift. So
So for our listeners, if you are interested and if you can be patient, there will be sales throughout the year. And especially if you can wait till after the season, like November, December, it will be like $50. So that is the time to buy. But if you are going to buy full price, please don't buy from Fanatics. Please buy from City Pavilion. Please buy from Soccer Master. Buy local money that's going to go back into our community as opposed to a nameless, faceless organization that sucks. So
yeah,
there's my 2
Agreed.
cents.
Agreed. Man, too bad we're not talking Cardinals because the MLB jerseys are terrible. They are trash. They look like Chinese knockoffs.
You know what? Please keep going because we can always make this a reel and just like throw it
I mean,
out there.
there's not much more. I mean, Fanatics is known for having just terrible quality and, like shitty cut patterns on their jerseys and stuff. Like, it's awful. Like, I'm so happy that, like, our jerseys are made by Adidas still and not them. But, like, the T-shirts, I think, are done by Fanatics, right?
There are
yeah,
some. They have some that are done by
'Cause
them.
I got one that was by Fanatics, and it's like the logo's all off-centered, and it just I don't know.
I think I had
Terrible
heard
quality.
that they might Fanatics might screen print the jerseys that they sell. I don't remember where I had heard that, but that is like a possibility. We were talking last week of someone who bought a hoodie from Fanatics, and the hoodie was just like a blue hoodie, and like in the center just had the city badge.
Oh, yeah, it was
the
upside
badge
down?
was upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like God, it's so bad, and I don't understand why all the. It's got to be because they just offer so cheap of a price to
Yeah.
the
Oh, for
leagues, but
sure.
like it's so bad, so bad.
I'm just saying. I don't actually know, and that's something I've been curious about. Is if you buy a jersey from them, is it actually coming from Adidas? Like, is it Adidas is printing and selling it to
Right.
Fanatics, and then they're just
Hmm.
scraping off the margins or whatever, or what is it? And it makes you wonder, right? Like,
Yeah.
why are they selling them so cheap compared to everywhere else? Things like
But that's
that.
the
But
crazy thing. They're not that cheap. Like the MLB jerseys went up in price, even though
well,
they're
I just meant
worse
like
quality.
I know like some of the
Like the
big
money
sales
they
on jerseys
share with the
were
league and stuff, yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Like they're willing to buy them from the league for more and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But it's all junk, and I'm upset. The MLB jerseys have actually made me like legitimately sad this week,
Hmm.
and I probably shouldn't let them affect me like that, you know.
Yeah.
But
I actually just went and bought at Academy Sports. They had their St. Louis Cardinals jerseys from last year on clearance, and I just went and picked up. I've been wanting a powder blue jersey for a while, and went and picked up one of their powder blues. Like the authentic jersey for like $50 on clearance, and but I was like, I'm buying this one now before the Fanatics ones for this season get put on the
yeah,
shelves because I guarantee I'm not buying one then.
Hmm.
yeah, they look so bad. But we're not here to talk about Fanatics baseball jerseys, although we could. We could.
Yeah.
In fact, I even told people today at work that the one special skill that I have that the average person doesn't have is the ability to rant for a long period of time and maintain my energy of doing that. And Short Tyler is smirking because he knows that that's accurate to me. But let's skip that. Let's go to something fun. Let's talk City. Where do you guys want to start?
That's up to you
I mean,
guys.
just jump right. I mean, you put it together out. Let's just jump right into it. So going into the season, and I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but where do you see performance from last year improving, and where do you see us maybe taking steps back performance wise? So where do you see us having potentially more success, and where do you see potential pitfalls?
Tyler, go ahead. We want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I would say probably where I think we'll see probably the most improvement is obviously on the wings, with Totland and Dura coming in. I think that's the hope from everyone is that these two guys are going to make a real impact, pressing the ball forward, as an area that we're going to go down. I could see maybe there being a drop off with like Parker,
Yeah.
getting 1 year older. I think a lot of people consider last year like an outlier year for him. It was his first year making an all-star team. I could see him maybe falling back a little, but other than that, I don't really see too much of a downturn. I mean, our team's so young, you'd only really expect him to improve. And I think we replaced Nico scoring and Stroud scoring with Sam and Klaus getting more minutes.
Yeah, if you extrapolate Klaus's, if Klaus is healthy for the whole year, which last year was the only time in his career he's had a serious injury, his pace would actually he would make the same amount of goals last year as him and Nico did combined. So I think we're going to more than make that up. I think Sam is worth at least the 5 goals if we get him for more of the season that we lost in Stroud. I think Thor is going to be worth some goals. I actually really think Thor is a guy who is going to step up bigger for us this year. I'm really looking forward to that. I think, having a preseason, having spent time here getting settled, I think that's all going to really play to his advantage. I think Durkin is going to be a huge addition. A guy I work with actually told me that he thinks that at the end of the year, Durkin will be starting over Blom in our quote-unquote
I
best
agree.
11.
I agree.
Because he brings so much more on the ball, and he seems to, Blom, and I love Blom, but sometimes he can get a little caught up ball watching. And he's so focused on going and trying to get that tackle to get the ball back. Sometimes he leaves a lot of space behind. So far I haven't seen that from Durkin. Durkin seems to be a little bit more focused on positioning and getting the interception and things like that. But those are kind of the areas where I think, in addition to the fullbacks. What about you, Short Tyler?
Uh, I think we're going to potentially see better play, just not just from our defensive wings, but from our wide midfielders. You put in people like Celio, you bring in things over somebody like Stroud. It's just a different feel. It's a different game. It's
Right.
more offensive capability. The area that I actually am most concerned about step back or taking a step back wise is um, Klaus and Gioacchini played off each other very well when they played up top, especially early in the year. And does Big Sam and Klaus, are they able to recreate that chemistry over a longer stretch of time, or do their play styles end up, not playing off each other as well, or frustrating one another? And if that happens, I feel like you could potentially see a step back from one or both of them, in which case you've got to see an increase in offense from somewhere else. And again, you've got lots of other young guys who ideally will take a step forward and help cover that presence. And if Leuven is able to actually push forward more like we would like him to as a true number 10, that makes the whole team better as well. But that's my big concern personally, is the way that Gioacchini played and the way that Klaus played were very complementary of each other. And I would, when Klaus and Big Sam did play together, they played fine, but there was sometimes. But there was a lot of other times where you could tell that Klaus got frustrated by the way Sam played. And are they able to work through that? And if there is frustrations, are they able to, as a team, and at Carnell as the coach, are they able to work through that and to make those adjustments to fix that issue if it becomes one?
I do think that, kind of like our next group of guys who can play as second strikers are going to be critical to that. Even though I think they had games where they played together very well, Klaus and Sam, I think generally they don't play well together on the field at the same time because I think they look to make the same runs a little bit, and I don't think they put themselves in positions together to allow each other to succeed. So I really think Celio is going to be big here. I think Thor, I'm very interested in seeing Thor and Sam play together a lot. I think that there's a lot of synergy between their play styles and the spaces they like to take and run into. I think getting Alm back will be huge. I think I kind of want to see McSorley and Klaus against some real competition, because I think the way McSorley chases after the ball, and that could just be playing in preseason and trying to earn a real contract. But I think McSorley can create space and chase things down, and if he can then just get it to Klaus coming in behind, I think that's an opportunity that we would really have.
Yeah, out of that young group, in the preseason games, McSorley was the one, or should I say McScorley? But he was the guy. He was the guy who impressed me the most out of what I saw. I'm not saying Caden or Kojima didn't play well, but I definitely felt like McSorley was definitely the one who stood out to me as potentially being ready to make the soonest impact early in the season.
See, I thought that about Kojima. I mean, I thought he looked really good, on ball and off. McSorley, it was weird that first foul he got like right off the hop. He just was so aggressive. It's like, is he going to be our next Stroud? Is he just going to be like the agitator, stirring the pot? So
I think Marcanic is the next Stroud from that, because once Marcanic came, Stroud was able to like kind of cool it a little bit because he was getting so close to suspension, and Marcanic just like took it up for him, like seized his opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree with Tyler. I think that Kojima is the most likely one. In fact, of those three guys, Kojima is the one that I most expect to see starting in one of the first two games. I don't expect any of them to start against Houston, but I do think Kojima could start against RSL.
They better get him signed quick then. He's not signed yet.
Right. So I think part of why they were waiting for that is the
international roster
card
slots with the green cards.
The international roster slots for him. And then McSorley, I think they were just trying to like decide if he's like done enough to earn it or not.
Yeah.
And I think he has.
I think the flip side of that is I think we have so many more depth pieces in midfield that I think it's going to be harder for Kojima to break through than McSorley. I think McSorley playing more up top is going to have a better chance to break through as one of the two strikers in any given lineup.
Right.
Ahead of Kojima potentially in the midfield. And I can see Kojima being a sub, but I think if you're talking starting a game, I think McSorley has a better chance just because of the depth we have in midfield right now.
No, what position officially is Kojima? Is he defensive mid?
He's just listed as central mid from Wake Forest. I don't know if he can play on the wide midfield spots because that's where I think we have the weakest depth on the team is the wide midfield spots right now.
Especially now with Alm being out.
Once Alm is back, I'm less concerned about that. But for now, that's kind of what I think. But I think you could, in theory, and we'll talk more about this later, but I think in theory for that second game, you could start Kojima next to Durkin, and they played together a lot in central midfield in preseason. And I think you could start Ostrak on a wing spot
Well,
if you had to.
Do we want to just hop to our prediction for lineups with that talk? Or do we want to wait on that?
I mean, we can wait because I think some of the other things we've got listed, I think will lead into it a little bit better because I think it'll give good context depending on how we each think that they're going to prioritize the different competitions.
It'll mean less. You mean we don't have to reason our way through it as much.
Right. Exactly. For the regular season, what do you guys think, though, what is your expectation for their performance this year? What do you consider a success for this season?
I'll let do you want our guest to go first? Do you want me to just go ahead and throw out my piece?
He seems to be thinking, so you can
I'll go for it.
And buy him some time.
I think success would be top 5 seed in the West and getting through that first round of the playoffs. As far as MLS season goes, if we don't have home field advantage, we shouldn't be lower than 5. To me, none of the other teams have made enough big trade changes that we shouldn't be on fighting for one top 5 spot. And I feel like if we're top 5 we win a first round series, that's success. I mean, winning the West last year was amazing in our first season, but falling flat in the playoffs hurt. The flip side of that is if we make a deep run in the Champions Cup, I'm really not going to care what happens in MLS playoffs.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, I feel like if we even win, like, U.S. Open Cup or Leagues Cup, like, just getting a piece of hardware's a successful season to me. But, I think, those last two, like, Leagues Cup and U.S. Open Cup, I think both those, I don't think we're going to be trying very hard for those this year. I think their focus is mainly on the regular season and on this Champions Cup. I think they're basically going to treat the U.S. Open Cup like Next Pro and Academy training, definitely for the first game. And with Leagues Cup, I mean, that's just like a weird break in the middle of the season, ain't it? I mean,
yeah. I don't think they're going to take Leagues Cup seriously. Yeah. I do think we're going to get out of the group a little bit easier this time around because we're not playing Club America and Columbus, both of whom had very, very good years.
Yeah.
Tyler, to your point, though, about like our standings, just for context before we get to like actual predictions, the 6th seed last year was Vancouver. The 5th seed last year was RSL. The 4th seed was Houston. And then the 3rd seed was LAFC. 2 seed was Seattle. And of that group, I think Seattle and LAFC look good or better than as good as or better than last year. And the rest of them, I don't think are as good. Or maybe not so much better. I think RSL's about the same. But so I think that's probably a good call out that you've got there. Tyler, what do you think?
I had us like, I think a successful season would probably be like anywhere 3 to 6. I kind of give them more of a range. I do think there's going to be a little bit of regression. Everyone talks about regressing back to the mean or something that's more likely. But I mean, I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a drop off just because I think one of those stats that everyone always throws out is our, expected XG was so much lower than the actual goals we got. And that's kind of was an anomaly. But, like I said earlier, I think we're going to replace those goals with, Sam and Thor coming in. But yeah, and then like Tyler alluded to, just winning one round of the playoffs, I'd consider that one step closer. I think Lutz and their whole philosophy is just to get better every season. They're not expecting, to just automatically win. They just want to see the team improve year over year. So I think just winning a round of the playoffs would consider it a successful season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know you talked about you feel like LAFC is just as good or better. I think they lost a big leadership piece. This and during the offseason, unless I missed something and they re-signed him, LAFC lost
Talking Chiellini.
Vela
and Chiellini.
Yeah.
and Chiellini. So I mean, they lost some big leadership pieces, big people who are used to helping keep that team calm under pressure and doing those big things. And I think again, they still have talent. They still have Denny Bouanga, who is an absolute freak.
Not a leader though.
Not a leader and not really the guy that they're going to look to again. So I'm curious to see how that impacts them. But on the flip side, they are not going to have nearly as treacherous of a schedule. So I think that may leave their team a little fresher. So, but again, to me, it comes down to there's a lot to be said about team chemistry and team leaders. You look at what St. Louis City did just last year, right? A big reason for our success was we had guys like Leuven, we had guys like especially Berkey, who were not just talking the talk, but walking the walk and leading these guys every day on the field. And, under pressure, I remember, I think last year was after we played in Seattle, a reporter asked Berkey what it was like to play in a stadium that was so big. And Berkey kind of politely was like, oh, it was a cool experience. But then when you remember that Berkey's used to playing in, the Bundesliga 1 and played in Champions League and has played at the Camp Nou and the stage is not too big.
Some of the rowdiest fans in soccer.
Right.
I mean,
Right. And not only that, but he had played there before. That was the funniest thing about it. And he was like, oh, I've played here in Seattle before when Dortmund came. And then he played in, what is it, the Westfalen Stadium, or what it was, I guess now it's Signal Iduna Park or whatever. And if I remember right, it's actually a bigger stadium than Seattle. Yeah, it holds 81,000 people.
He's played at the Camp Nou against Barca, which is
how many people does Camp Nou hold?
It was at one point 108,000.
Right. I was going to say, I knew it was a massive stadium.
So, I mean,
people just don't get how big those stadiums are.
Yeah.
And I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, and that's just part of it, right? It's just they don't. But for him, having players like that, I think is what I'm getting at, right? Having that leadership where these moments that they're experience aren't too big for them. And they're able to help the guys calm down and refocus and understand. And you lose guys like Chiellini who've played in World Cups and done the things, right? You lose somebody that is a guy that helps your team and helps lead your team night in and night out. And I wonder how that's going to impact LAFC. Right. I do think Seattle probably did get a little better. I think they're probably the favorite to win the 1 seed in the West at this point. But I still think there's no reason why we shouldn't be at least fighting for a top 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the floor for this team is the 6th seed. Yeah. Anything below the 6th seed would be a disappointment to me. And it would be okay. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we're 7, 8, 9. Being out of the playoffs would be the end of the world, basically. Yeah. But I think the 6th seed is the floor. I think I could see us being 3 or 4. I don't see us being top 2. I think, again, LAFC and I think Seattle probably are the favorites for those 2 spots. I don't, and if they had, if either of them had Champions Cup this year, I would think that we were a lot closer to fighting for those 2 spots than they do. But since they just have league play and the other ones, I think they're probably going to, have those 2 spots. I agree with the advance in the playoffs, but with all these tournaments that we're playing, we're in CONCACAF Champions Cup, we're in US Open Cup, we're in MLS League play, we're in hopefully in the playoffs, we're in Leagues Cup. Like, which one do you guys think or hope that the team will prioritize the most?
I think they're probably prioritizing, I would say MLS first, then the Champions Cup, then the US Open Cup, then Leagues Cup is how I'd probably put it. I think this first game, some people are like wondering if we're going to like rotate so we can have our best squad for the MLS game. I think Carnell and them are just going to go hard for this first game. You got to think this is like the one team we're on equal footing with besides Columbus in our group, with the start of the season. They're in the same form we are. And then Houston's got a lot of their best players out right now. I think Hector Herrera's out. One guy just had a season-ending injury, and
Quinones,
the other guy I think is in his home country dealing with some personal stuff. So
yeah, Caicedo. And then they also lost Baird, who I think was their leading goal scorer last year.
Yeah, went to Cincy. But I mean, so they're kind of like a wounded deer right now, And then with that, I think going for this first game is our best choice because then we can do a way heavier rotation on the next game with them. So if we can come out and get like a 3-0, 4-1, like get a good lead, make sure they don't score on us on the road because the tiebreakers is away goals. So it's important for us to limit them here, but then try and score as much as we can. And I think, that's still, with it being a Tuesday and not a Wednesday game, it allows them one more extra day of regen so they can pretty well all be good to go again on Saturday. I feel like most of them, at least. I do think he would switch the lineup, in between the games with a few people here and there, but I still think you're going to see Klaus, you're going to see Leuven, you're going to see probably Blom, you're going to see the regulars play both those games. And then I think if we can get a good enough lead, that's when you kind of rotate more for that next Houston game, and just hope that they can limit them on the road.
Yeah. What do you think?
I was like, I have a similar lineup, but I think I would flip the top 2. I know you said MLS then Champions Cup. I think at least the way that we should prioritize it is Champions Cup first, then league play, then US Open Cup, and then Leagues Cup last because nobody cares about Leagues Cup.
Nope.
Reason that, but the Champions Cup is the biggest deal in our with it. Right, it's the biggest international tournament, and it's the only way for us to potentially earn a slot into the World Cup club tournament,
Club World Cup,
yeah, something like that.
And so, which again is huge. I mean, if we got a chance to play in that, I mean, unreal, right?
Can you imagine playing a game that matters against like Real Madrid or Chelsea or Man City or one of those other teams that have earned a spot already to it?
Yeah.
We'd fucking draw Seattle, though. Watch.
Yeah. But anyway, but again, it's one of those things, though, right? Like it's huge, it's important, and it grows our brand so much more than any of these other things do. I know for the U.S. fan base, the regular season and the playoffs are a big deal. And so I think that's important, but to grow our global brand and to really help City, and not just that, but help make our players stand out on the biggest stage, which gives them more value, which when we do sell, which again, as much as we don't like talking about it, St. Louis City is going to sell a lot of their players as they get better because that's how the MLS is currently functioning. And maybe in, 10, 15 years, we're become more bigger. MLS becomes big enough that there are more buyers, but for the time being, it's a lot of selling and we have to be ready for that. But performing on the biggest stage at the international level, winning something like a Champions Cup would put a lot of our players on the map and put our team on the map for sure. But I think that needs to be our focus. And I agree playing on the Tuesday is great for being able to rotate or do a less rotated squad. I still think Blom probably starts one game, subs one game, because we have Durkin now. But but with that, I mean, again, like you said, if we have a big lead, you don't have to rotate as much. But if you feel like you have to get that next win, obviously you're not going to want to start a lot of the guys on Saturday if you feel like you're going to need them on Tuesday, because it's a shorter turnaround Tuesday to Saturday, or Saturday to Tuesday.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, sorry, John.
Go ahead.
I mean, like the RSL game is all dependent on the outcome of the Houston game. You know, I mean,
absolutely.
if we win big, they're going to go hard for RSL. If it's a tight game, like Tyler said, they're going to probably rotate a little bit more on the RSL so guys are ready for that Tuesday game. I mean, totally agree.
Yeah. And I think I agree that I think they're going to go hard for the first Houston game. And one of the things that Short Tyler said that I really appreciated was talking about wanting to become a global brand. That's a thing that Lutz has talked about. That's a thing that Diego Giuliani, the president of the team, has talked a lot about. And, you know, how do you do that? Well, you perform on the biggest stages regularly and you perform well. So, yeah, we're playing Houston, which is not a sexy opponent for International Champions League play. Okay, well, let's say we beat Houston, okay, and then we play Columbus. And again, Columbus is not really a sexy opponent because they're in the league. But let's say we beat them. Well, people elsewhere who are looking at the bracket and monitoring how it's unfolding, you know, like, okay, they're going to say, oh, St. Louis beat Houston. Well, okay, that's, you know, one MLS team beating another MLS team. Okay, they must be a little bit better maybe than Houston. And then we play Columbus, and if we beat them, then they can say, wow, St. Louis just beat, you know, the defending champions of their league to advance. And then we're talking quarterfinals. Now, I do think as far as Champions League play goes, quarterfinals might be the ceiling of this team, depending on how other parts of the bracket go. In the quarterfinals, we are most likely, whoever survives our little corner is most likely going to be playing Tigres, which is going to be a tall order to beat. Never know, Orlando could pull it off, I guess, and then we could be playing Orlando. It is possible.
Another MLS team.
No, you know, it is possible
So
that we could make it to the finals and not play a team that is not MLS. and in the finals, we could play an MLS team because there are two teams on the other side of the bracket. It's unlikely, but in theory, we could play this entire tournament and only play MLS teams. So I think that's a good segue, though, into talking about the lineups that we expect to see.
Okay, let's go.
So let's go Houston first.
Okay.
Let's go Houston first. And I'll let you guys go. I do have mine written out on my phone, so I'll look at it. So what do you guys think?
Sure, Tyler, you're first.
That just made my whole day.
For Real, or for Houston,
Yeah,
right?
for Houston.
I think, assuming they for sure believe Dewar is game fit, I think you see Totland and Dewar back there. I think you're going to see Nielsen and Parker in the middle if they think Nielsen is game fit. If Nielsen is not, I think you see Yarrow starting.
Yeah, no way he is. I think
Nielsen didn't play yesterday, so there's no way he plays next week.
I don't even think he plays RSL.
I'm not sure when he'll show up.
Maybe
but again, if he were game fit, that's where I would see him. But I think it's going to be Parker and Yarrow in the middle. I think this is where I have the hardest decision right now because based off what I've seen in preseason play, I think Durkin it played better than Blum in the preseason. But I don't know if everything that Blum has done last year and the chemistry he already has with these guys plays out, at least early in the season, as the starter. So I have a hard time between whether it's Durkin or Blum starting as center defensive mid. I think obviously you have Leuven as kind of your offensive center mid. But I think I think they could potentially do, and John loves this idea, but doing a double pivot with a 4-2-2-2, where they could do, and he may not like this as much, but I could see them doing Durkin and Blom both in the back with AZ and Leuven in front, and then Klaus and Big Sam up top.
I don't hate that for that Tuesday game. I don't think it's something we'd be able to do like regularly.
But I
I
think
am
starting the season
intrigued.
based on game fit and where people are, I
Right.
think that's somewhere that I could see them because we have the subs to adjust that midfield and offensive shape if we need to.
Right. And I think it depends on how much you want Indy in that first group is what I think will depend upon that. Tyler, what about you? What do you have as your lineup for Houston?
Let me look here. Let's see. Okay, so
Also, I
Berkey.
didn't write mine down, so this was all memory. So I
Oh,
apologize as
impressive.
I was
I
stumbling
made
through
a
it.
beautiful table. You know.
Oh.
It's beautiful. I'm even going to give you guys subs. So here we go.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, getting real
Wow.
detailed.
He's way more prepared than we are. We have to step our game up next time we have him
I'm
on.
never prepared. Let's be real.
So I got Berkey in the back. That's
Naturally.
Duh.
Wait, you're not starting Lund in the Houston game?
I think I'd start Oliveras over Lund at this point. I'm not. I don't want to go down that
Oh,
road.
that's a hot take. We have to come
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah.
Hold up. No, we're coming back to that one.
I think after the Louisville game, Dewar is going to be fine. I think he will. He did his 60 minutes, is what they're reporting, and I think he'll at least start the game. I could see him not finishing the game, but we'll get to that. Then I have Parker Yarrow. Agreed with Tyler on that. I went ahead and went with Totlin. Did you say Totlin or
I said Totland, but
Totlin? We'll
Not
figure
sure
it out.
which is right. It's close enough.
I don't even know
I'm
if
not
Dewar's
sure.
right. I just heard that, but
It's pretty close too, from what I've heard.
then I have Leuven and Blum. I went with a 4-2-3-1 instead. I think he's going to be pretty basic on this first game. So Leuven and Blum. I went with Ostrak on the left, AZ in the middle, Indy on the right, and Klaus up front. Pretty obvious there. For subs, I had basically I would think, depending on how the game's going, he would probably sub out the guys he would want to be able to start again on the RSL game. So I think you see Klaus come out for Sam. Leuven drops for Durkin. And then you get to see how Durkin and Blum play together. Ostrak for Celio, and then Markanich and for Dura, just because he probably can't go a full game. So yeah, I don't think Dura finishes the game, but I think he probably makes subs based on who he's going to want to start again in that RSL game if it's going good. If it's going sour and we need them, maybe you keep Leuven in there, keep Durkin on the bench, but I think it'll be a pretty standard lineup, honestly. But who knows? This guy changes everything every day.
And I think it's a good call out there with Celio because especially if we're struggling offensively, for my lineup, the first two people I see coming in off the bench are Indy and Celio because they are so good on the ball, and I feel like they can change the game very quickly offensively.
So you're going to love my lineup for this first game. Short Tyler. So did Dewar play 60 minutes or
Did you
did he
put
play
Celio in
45?
all 10 spots besides Berkey's?
I did.
I mean,
yeah, it's just a team of Celios.
I don't think it's known for sure. I think that's just I think it was
Got
mainly
it.
like the people who started went 60, and then I
Gotcha.
think they just tried to get,
Right. Okay. I was going to say I had heard that Leuven played 75, and I thought I had heard that Dewar had only played 45, which I think is enough to start if you're going to sub at the 60th minute or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, this is my lineup though. I've got Berkey, Totland. I do have Yarrow in because Nielsen did not play yesterday. He was supposedly on the same fitness program that Leuven was on, but that's still, that's 2 weeks without doing much touching, with the ball. So just form stuff rather than true fitness. So I've got Yarrow and Parker there. I really struggled with left back because Markanich was not the first choice left back and he was not the second choice left back. Watts kind of looked like he had supplanted him in that spot. I think I could see Watts or Dewar starting that first game. I'm leaning towards Watts right now because I know BC does not like to sub his back line if he can avoid it. So I think he's probably going to start Watts and try to keep building Dewar up and then maybe see how he does at RSL. And I am very intrigued about Watts at left back. I really like Akil as a person, and so I hope he does well. Midfield, I've got Blom and Leuven. Now, I have set mine up as a 4-2-3-1 because I want to keep basically with our two main strikers being Klaus and Sam. I want a good experienced striker on the field at all time, and I don't know if either of them can go 90 at this moment. So I'm starting one and subbing out at the 60th minute in my mind. But then I'm going Indy, AZ, Celio, Tyler, with Klaus up top. I could see Thor being the guy there instead of Celio, because I think Celio is a great super sub, and I think bringing Celio on against tired legs, I think he's kind of put himself in a spot where like he's so good against people who are already tired that he kind of gets shoehorned into that. But I like Celio, and I kind of want to see him play more. So that's my first 11.
Quick aside, neither one of you guys had Ostrak in your starting, right?
Correct.
That is correct. With
Okay.
Leuven back,
So-
I don't see a spot for Ostrak starting.
So where do you think what do you think we do with him this year, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Like, do you see him more as a rotation guy again? Because I had him down as someone that needs to step up for us. I think he needs to take that Stroud spot and take that left mid position by the fucking balls. And, and just...
No Bleep podcast alone.
Yeah,
Love it.
we're
Let's
just
go.
going to have Celio the entire season be, our super sub. I agree with that totally. And then I think they're going to use Thorson more in that striker role this year. I mean, he's listed as a forward in our City 2 app. I think they want him to be a forward and shoot more. So I think you're going to see him kind of be that third guy, and that's, in like a dual striker sort of thing. I could see him coming on more often. But I hope Ostrak steps up this year, because I was kind of disappointed with him last year. I think everyone was. We all kind of expected him to come in and,
Dominate.
be better than
Yeah.
I think. And I think he has gotten better. I think he's looked a lot better this preseason. I think the coaches have spoke about him in better terms. And I just think he needs to, take hold of that position finally.
I don't see him starting against Houston because of last year. I see him starting at RSL, and I see him being somebody who maybe has to earn his way into that type of a starting role. I think if he plays to his potential, he's going to win that spot. But I don't know if he's necessarily is able to have taken that spot from some of these other guys just with this preseason stretch.
Yeah. True.
And that's why I have it.
Where do you think he starts? Like what position?
If he starts,
Either of you.
if he makes it into the lineup, I see him more probably on one of the outside wings, unless we sell AZ at some point in that mid-season window. If we sell AZ, that's what's going to open up a potential middle spot. So my prediction for him is actually that if we sell AZ, is that he earns his way, kind of forcing his way into the starting lineup, and makes AZ sellable, and that's why we would sell AZ.
Okay.
I agree.
Tyler, what
I
about you?
see him as, if he doesn't take that left side spot, then I think he's definitely just the backup to AZ until we find a seller. So
I will say, just as a counterpoint to you guys, so when I was watching him in preseason, last year I felt like he played a lot as like that AZ spot, that forward attacking, the central attacking midfield, as opposed to a wide midfield. This year in preseason, a lot of the times when I've seen him, he was actually playing in Leuven's spot next to Blom. Now, I don't think... So I am very interested in that because I thought he looked really good there. But I don't know. For the second game, I do have him starting. I don't have him starting there because I don't know. Well, my original lineup, I have him starting. I agree. I think it really depends on how big we go up, if we go up big, and how big it is against Houston in the first game. Let's presume it's a close game. Do you want to do it? How do you want to do it?
And well, first off, I want to, again, we talked about subs. You guys brought up Thorson. I think that's a good point. The reason that I think I don't mind starting Big Sam and Klaus up top in my lineup is because we have Thorson. So Thorson can come on for whichever one of them looks tired, presumably Klaus early. And he can kind of take over up top alongside one of them. And again, you guys say, "Oh, I want a good, experienced striker." Thorson is a good and experienced striker, and he brings that presence more than I think people probably realize. And so, if we sub him in, we're not really taking a step back up top up there. As long as, and again, if Big Sam's feeling it, then cool. Big Sam stays in, and Klaus comes off, and we save Klaus, and whoever gets subbed off first will be the starter alongside Thorson in my lineup for Saturday.
I see Thorson coming on in the left mid spot in that first game against Houston. Now he could move up top, right? He could move up top next to Sam.
See, that's where I see Celio coming into the left mid, but you have him in your starting lineup.
I have him in my starting lineup. Yeah. So the nice thing about this, so like last year we had like 28 different lineups in 34 games in league play, and like we have such good depth at so many positions. Like there's so many ways he can take this, and like I'm comfortable. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. You know, I mean, most of these positions are not written in pen. It's very form based. It's very fitness based, week to week. So
yeah, no, I agree. So why don't we get into? So we'll get into Saturday and just your general thoughts on what it'll be. Say it's we have a 1-goal lead, maybe a 2-goal lead. Nothing crazy. What do you think we would do in that case? We'll kind of go with that for our lineups for Saturday against RSL.
I would say if it's a little closer, I think that they maybe go a little lighter and rotate more on the RSL game, because I'm agreeing with you guys. I think they're going to try really hard for this Champions Cup. So I think they would want to see that their best lineup again for that game. So I would rotate a little. Berkey's still in the back because he's a demon and wants to play every game. Since Dura went out early in my original game, I'd have him starting again. Hebert and Nielsen, I probably would change this now, knowing more about the Nielsen situation, to where it would probably just be like Hebert and Parker again, or Yarrow, whoever has the better fitness. And then I went ahead and threw Nowinski in just to give him some time. And then also that frees up Totland to potentially sub for Indy, because I know there's some potential for him to play that right mid position. He likes to play a lot more advanced. And I think they may be comfortable with him, giving Indy a breather. And so that just kind of frees him up to potentially, because other than Indy, I mean, I know Celio's played a little on the right. I don't think that's his favorite side. I don't think there's any chance we see Thorson on that side.
I would like to point out that Celio played just fine against Kansas City on the right.
Drilled that Golazo.
Yeah, some may say that was luck, but
from perpendicular shot.
Here's the thing: you put the ball into dangerous areas and you make things happen.
Very true.
You know what? Everyone's going to eat their words when he does it again this year.
Hey, I could see him doing it at some point. I mean, that's not really a hot take. I mean, he's got
goal
a shot.
Was a hot take.
Yeah. But then I had Blum setting out this game because I have him going the full length of this first game, and I don't think Blum could probably go. And we'd probably like to just see him for the next Tuesday game against Houston anyway. So I have Durkin and Leuven. Again, Leuven, demon, wants to play every game. And then I had Thorson, AZ, and Indy. So really the only switch was Ostrak out because I have him playing most of that first game. And then Klaus again. And I think we kind of see a lot of the same subs. I think you see Sam come in for Klaus at some point. I could see Watts taking over for, either Nowitzki or Durkin at some point. And then I already mentioned the Totland experiment, maybe throwing him at that right middle. And then I think that's where you see Ostrak coming in for AZ. You give him a rest partially in that first game and then have him sub for AZ in this second one. And then that pretty well also frees up most of your guys to be ready again for that Tuesday game. You're getting Klaus with a break again. The only one who would really maybe be tough to see again would be Leuven, because I have him down, I think, playing almost every minute, because that's just how he rolls. So,
yeah, I think I have a more heavily rotated squad for the RSL game. I think obviously Berkey's in goal. But I think you potentially see either Marcanic or Watts on the left to start this game. I think you have Hebert at left center. I think you have Parker right. They're still going to put some of these big names out there because it is the home opener on a Saturday night. And I think that's where you're going to see Parker and things. Plus, you don't. Parker is an easy sub for Yarrow on the right if Hebert's able to play 90, right? You can bring Yarrow, and Yarrow can still play with Hebert just fine. I think then over on the right side, you do have Nerwinski. I agree with that. I think the midfield is where you potentially see it. I think it's more of a 4-4-2 with a diamond in the middle in this game. I think you play Durkin in front as your center defensive mid. You're going to play Leuven, I think, up top, where you could sub Leuven out for AZ at like the 60th minute and try to save some leg for him for the Tuesday game coming up since it is so early in the season. I think you have Celio on the left, and I think you have Ostrak on the right with whichever was subbed out in the first game, either Klaus or Sam up top alongside Thoresen.
So I do think Berkey and Leuven are going to be playing, and not necessarily less minutes, maybe less minutes. I don't think they're going to start as many games. Well, so that would make Berkey play less minutes for sure. I think one of the things that we learned last year is for them is just how long the season is, how hard the travel is on you. And I do think an area that coach...
Are you saying that the United States is bigger than Germany?
Last time I checked, but I haven't looked at a map in a while, but I'm pretty sure it is. But they're so close in size, but it's just like a little bit larger. And I think an area that I think BC let Berkey and Leuven like insist on playing a little too much. And I think like minutes management for those two is going to be a lot bigger. I think by the end of the year, they were just so exhausted. I do think Berkey is going to start this game. I do think that anyone who starts on Tuesday or on Saturday does not start the following Tuesday. So if we are up 3 or more goals, because the Houston, because Champions Cup isn't on aggregate.
Now you're changing the parameters of what we said our lineup was.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I only see those bigger guys starting if we're up big, because otherwise you want them for Tuesday. So if we're only up 1 goal, like you said, I don't see any of those guys starting except for Berkey. I think Berkey can start on Saturday and on Tuesday and be fine. But like none of those other guys, I think, can go 60 to 90 minutes on Saturday and play on Tuesday. I don't see that. So I do have a much more rotated squad probably than both of you in this situation. Back line, I have Nerwinski, Hebert, Nielsen, and then if Dewar does start...
Going with Nielsen.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to start against Houston. I think you have to start building up his minutes somewhere. So I think he's probably going to start RSL because you don't want to wait until the second Houston game to start him, I don't think. Maybe you do, but I just feel like he's probably going to go ahead and just play there. So I think it's Nerwinski, Nielsen, Hebert, and then if Dewar starts the first Houston game, I think he probably does not start RSL. But if he does not start Houston, I think he might start RSL depending on how close it is. I could make the case either way. For now, I'm going to say Watts, though, in that spot. Midfield is where I start getting a little hard. Like it starts getting a little bit harder for me. I think Durkin is a lock to start. I think Durkin and Nerwinski are locks for the RSL game. Like 100%, no doubt in my mind, they're starting that game. But who to play next to Durkin is a real what if to me. In the LAFC preseason, no, in the Red Bulls preseason game, we actually started Marcanic in midfield, which might have been just to like build up fitness. I was not particularly impressed with him there. But I don't know who else to start in my wide midfield spots. So I have Marcanic there. So that way I can start Kojima and Ostrak on my wide midfield spots. And I have no idea if Kojima can play the wide midfield. I'm just kind of like, I don't have anyone else that I can put there in my lineup. And then I have Thor and Adeniran up top. It could also be a 4-2-3-1, depending on if they want to put Thor like kind of in that central attacking midfield and just kind of let him go wherever the hell he wants, which I think is a thing that he would excel in. But again, my wide midfield, I have a lot of issues for that right now. We could also short-term loan, in theory, Johnny Klein up from City 2 to play one of these games at wide midfield. But I don't think they would do that right off the bat.
Yeah.
No.
They got to save those.
Save him.
Yeah,
I
they're
do
going to
think he
save him
probably
for an
uses
injury
both.
or something else. I
Right.
think he will get that will happen this year,
Right.
but they're not going to do it this early. I think it's interesting that the wide midfield was kind of your pain point, which I
Yeah.
think is why I leaned towards the 4-2-2-2 in the first game, is because the way our depth plays, I feel like that fits us better. And
Yeah.
gives our especially you look at especially the way Totland plays along and potentially Dewar, but Totland loves to move forward, and that gives him a lane to push up,
Sure.
and gives you a better cushion behind him with the midfielders. Another thought I had was because of, and I agree that the outside midfield could be a little bit of an issue. Would be playing a five, more or less a 5-3-2, where you could potentially roll with 3 center backs and then allow your wing backs to push forward, either Totland or either Durkin or Blom sitting back. Again, if Blom starts against Houston, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then in RSL, if you run a 3 center back look, Nielsen could potentially play center alongside, whether it be Yarrow or Parker, and then Hebert on the left, would give you some options there. And then you could sub Parker and Yarrow. They could flip, 45, 60 minutes,
45.
whatever.
Yeah.
But that way they still stay fresh for the second Houston game.
Right.
And in this case, you'd play Marcanic on the left and Nerwinski, who loves to get forward and put crosses into the middle on the right. And if he's not comfortable doing it, then put Watts there, and he's comfortable running down
Right.
the sideline too. And then from there, really, it's filling in your center midfield, where we have a lot of guys who can fill in those roles.
Now, here's a thought for you with that, if they do that. The first thought I had, and I'd had this thought before when we didn't know what was happening with Nielsen, but if they go 3 center backs just to ease some of that midfield depth, take out one of the midfielders, make him a center back essentially. What if, because he spent all of preseason with the first team, and also, McSorley spent all of preseason with the first team too. So there's possible that he could start that RSL game as well. That is not a thing that I have excluded, but I don't know if he's quite there yet. But what if Vincel, they use a short-term loan on Vincel because he can make 2 appearances for City 2 or for City as on a City 2 contract. And with this fixture congestion, you kind of have to imagine at some point he might need to, because again, anyone who starts that Saturday game, even 45, you're only off Sunday and Monday and playing again on Tuesday. That's rough. That's really rough.
And there's there's travel. Now, granted,
And there's
Houston's
travel involved.
Houston's a short travel, but
still,
I don't think we see him this early on, because I think the schedule could get even more congested, especially if we stay in this and we go a few rounds, and then we have U.S. Open Cup. It just doesn't stop. So I think they want to keep those in their back pocket,
I also have to think, again, I know we're talking, these guys, we're trying to build up fitness, etc. But also these guys are mostly fresh, right? We're coming into this we should be coming into this ready to roll. We should be feeling good. We should not be worried about, these guys might be a little sore. So if these first couple games, if from Saturday to Tuesday, somebody plays 45 on Saturday,
right.
A 45
That's
from
true.
Saturday, by Tuesday they have the fitness. They should
They
be
have
able
the
to be ready to
technology.
go.
Yeah. They can build him. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
not like this is August or September, right? Like you said, this is
you and I
February.
just played 40 indoor soccer, which is nothing like this. But I bet you and I could play another 40 today.
I mean, probably, but not. I mean, I don't play very well on Wednesday anyway. So one of the girls I work with asked me if I played last night, and I was like, "Oh no. We only play on Wednesdays. We're too old for this shit. Honestly, like, there's no way. No.
Hey
Cut me
man,
some
I
slack
feel
here.
like I'm finally coming back into my own. Speak for yourself.
I mean, you
Drop
did score
20
a goal.
pounds. Drop 20 pounds, and I feel like I can run across the field again.
You had some good runs. You had some good runs in there.
I had some good crosses too.
You had a great cross, beautiful cross.
There's-
but if only
there's-
your left winger could fucking put a shot on goal,
Just tap it in.
just tap it in.
Tap it in.
If I had tried to tap that goal in, that girl was gonna just tap it out. Like, it was gonna go right by her foot. But either way, I skied it a little bit. Not too bad. Not too bad. Only a couple feet above the goal instead of like 7 or 8.
It hit
this
the
time.
netting.
Did I hit the netting?
You hit the netting. Because
Oh,
it was a goal kick. And then I was like, shit, I got to get back trick.
yeah, it was. Yeah, but the netting is not that high above the goal right there. Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Irrelevant.
what I'm saying is if my old fat ass can run around for 40 straight minutes and feel like I could have done it again tonight, I guarantee if they run around for 45, they will.
Well-
These guys are in much better shape and are, playing, and barring an injury, should be good to play. Start again. A few
And
days, with
outdoor-
2 days rest.
Outdoors also. There's a lot more time to catch your breath on outdoor than there is in indoor, right? Like, they do cover a lot of ground, but there's also like a lot of like semi jogging. There's a lot of walking if you watch guys. Like, when the ball is moving forward in possession, the back line is not sprinting
Okay, stop
forward.
calling Messi out. No.
Right. Say what you want. Messi has the success that he has because he walks so much, and it's the most
Yeah.
mind-numbing thing to me that these like center backs, and it isn't just here. It was happening in Europe too. Like, they just forget that he's there. He just like walks kind of like slowly into the gap between them, and then someone sees him and he like points and just runs on the kick, and then he's just free on goal. And I'm like, how are you not paying attention to like the only guy you have to pay attention to? Like, what the hell is going on?
He's short.
He is
Which
short.
is why, that's probably why you were wide open on that cross.
Yeah, but
He's
I'm
the
not short on
Messi of
average
indoor
height.
soccer league.
No. The Messi of the indoor soccer league is on the other team. There's a guy on that team we played who I've seen make some outrageous shots in previous ones. But
Yeah, they also had subs, so I don't want to talk about it. We're playing a man down, and we
they had a
had
sub for each. They didn't have like a lot of subs. They were taking it easy on us by the end, like, because we were
By
playing a
the
man
end.
down with no subs. But okay, before we get into like the 10-second questions for Tyler, do either of you have any hot takes you want to say for this season? Any predictions?
I got two. One
Okay.
I kind of already talked about. I think Parker does take a step back this year, and by the end of the season is not one of our everyday center backs. I think
Who do you think supplants him?
probably Yarrow. I've really liked what I've seen from him. I like his speed, and I just think I think he's going to improve a lot this season. And
Yeah.
I think Parker just kind of takes a step, not like a dramatic drop off. I just think Yarrow, probably more of a Yarrow take than anything. I just think he shows that he deserves to be a first team starter.
Yeah. You know, they're
And I
the
hope
same,
that
like,
Nielsen
basically
can
the same
still
age.
hold on to that freaking.
I could see Yarrow replacing Nielsen. I
Yeah,
don't see him replacing Parker, but
I hope he
it
looks
depends
better
on
than he
Nielsen's
did.
knee.
Yeah. So, and then my other one was I think Dirk can play so well that Carnell just has to find a spot for him somewhere by the end of the season in the starting lineup. I don't think he would obviously take Leuven or Blum out of the lineup, so I don't think he necessarily claims one of those center mids. I could see him taking over that front center mid if AZ goes, or, you know, depending on where Alm's at with his health, he could take that right side on a daily basis. But I just think I have him in my, like, poised for a good year. Like, I just have him really showing out this season for us. Because, I mean, if you look, I mean, he wasn't a bad player for Washington. It's not like they got rid of him because he sucked. He played, I think, top 5 most amount of minutes for him.
Yeah.
So they played the crap out of him. And I mean, if you look at what Carnell was able to do with Stroud, a freaking bench warmer for, Austin. No shots at Stroud. Sorry. I love Stroud. But he rode the bench in Austin,
Yeah,
and
he had
Carnell
like
brings him
50
in
minutes.
and he nets us 10 goals and assists. I mean, I think, what is he going to be able to do with Durkin? And I think he already has, so much quality to him from the time he spent in Europe. I think they kind of expect a lot out of him. So I think he basically forces Carnell to find some spot for him in the lineup this year.
Durkin's career is wild, right? Pro at 16, gets real minutes, goes to Belgium, plays with Joao motherfucking Klaus in Belgium, leaves, comes back to DC, and like he's the same age as Watts and Indy and Josh Sargent, technically. So if you really want to compare how good these guys are, like the 5 of them or 4 of them, however that is, were on the same U17 World Cup team, right?
I think Watts was on that too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Watts and Indy and Durkin and Sargent, and it's just like crazy all the things Durkin has done, because like he obviously looks 22, like when you look at a picture of him, or 24 or whatever he is, 23, but like you look at his, like on Transfer Market, like his career, you're like, how is this guy still in his early 20s? Like he should have, like, he's continuing to grow still for another 3 or 4 years. It's just nuts.
I have some thoughts on hot takes, and John, I'm not ready to start betting more beers on these hot takes, so don't even try it.
Okay.
Because I know what you're going to be thinking as soon as I start talking.
I'm thinking free Brewligans. That's what I'm thinking.
So, my first hot take is that Alm gets healthy, and because of Alm and Celios play, St. Louis City sells not just AZ, but they sell Big Sam as well. And Alm ends up playing up top alongside Klaus.
Okay.
I have that as a possibility too. I think Sam is poised for a big season. I could see him getting the attention of Europe and then shipping him out in the summer with AZ as well. I definitely agree with that. So I hope he does at least. Sam's my favorite player, so love that guy.
But I think again, and I think the play of Alm and Celio make it doable. And I think those two step up, and with that, not so much a hot take as much as, my thing, but I think as much as we love seeing Celio out on the wings and what he's done out wide, I think at some point he gets a chance in the central midfield, and the way that he plays on the ball positions himself to move into a central mid position as a starter when AZ gets sold.
I really want to see him start in that AZ spot as a central attacking midfielder, or at the point of the diamond, or like just in the top of the triangle if we do a 4-2-3-1. Like, I love that spot because that's where the ball will mostly be funneled through, at least partially. And then he kind of has the latitude to go either direction with it. Whereas he, when he starts over on the left, he's got the sideline behind him. Like, he really doesn't have as much space to do what he does best. And I really want to get the ball at his feet and let him just run at the back line. That's what I want more than pretty much anything for him.
So, but there's my two hot takes. They're kind of intertwined, but
John, do you have
Alm
one?
gets healthy. Big Sam and AZ are leaving. Celio's moving to central midfield.
Hot takes from me. I do think that AZ goes in the summer window, and at that point, I think you see Blom, Durkin, and Leuven as your midfield trio that start most of your games in a 4-2-3-1 formation, or that all 3 are present in the diamond, maybe.
Who's your subs in that case then?
Watts.
Watts. Okay.
Yeah, Watts is my sub in that situation. at least for Durkin and Blom, and then Leuven, anyone who can play in an attacking role would be a potential there. I think the original plan for Leuven was to put him in that spot, and then injuries and whatever else kind of forced him farther back, and we felt like at the time we were better. But I think one of the things that Durkin does very well is I feel watching him is that he connects the back line to the like forward midfield line. Maybe not as well as Leuven does, but well enough. I think he certainly does it better than Blom. And so I think that could be a very intriguing thing, especially if AZ leaves. My other hot take is, I'm going to come up with one right now, and it is that Thor...
You had the whole time we were making our hot takes to come up with one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to choose one that's not yours, so that way it's better content, obviously.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
funny.
that
John thinks
Thor,
he makes good content.
I don't. That's why I'm trying to make better content. Obviously. I think Thor is probably... Here's a hot take. I don't necessarily believe it, but it's a hot take that I'm going to say. I think Thor could be second highest goal scorer on the team.
Sam's got that in the bag. Sam might even lead.
No, it depends on if he gets sold and when he gets sold.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because if he gets sold, I mean, he could have 7 goals and get sold.
Yeah, that's true.
At the beginning of the window, in which case Thor sends like, "Hey, my 9 goals are second on the team."
Yeah,
That's right.
At the end of the season.
Okay, let's get to some fun stuff. Let's get to 10-second questions, and then we can wrap it up because we have gone on for a while.
It's cute that John says he wants to wrap it up. I know that you're about to have a second kid. Don't act like you do that.
Well, not for 9 months at least. What? Okay, so short Tyler, I know you can see this list. We have not shown regular Tyler this list.
Oh gosh.
I like you call it regular Tyler instead of just like half giant.
Yeah, what happened to Tyler? Just Tyler.
Just Tyler.
Yeah.
Just Tyler.
Hey, regular Tyler, average Tyler, just the guy over there. You could say my friend Tyler, because then he'd at least feel like you liked him.
He's got a point.
My friend Tyler. Friend Tyler, and then that guy Short Tyler that's on this with me once a week.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, John.
Okay, so do you want to do odds and I can do evens, or what do you want to do?
That's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I'll take the odds. So, first question for you, and as any of our listeners who have listened at all at any point on any episode are already aware, they know the answer for me on this. And actually, I kind of want to know John's as well after we get yours. But Tyler, who is your favorite player on the team? You actually already said this, but I kind of want to hear your reasons behind it.
Yeah, it's Big Sam. I just think I just love the way he plays, like the intensity, like you saw it last year in the Kansas City playoff game where he like threw that dude to the ground and then just stared at him. I think he can take over some of that, what Stroud had last year, getting in people's faces, like getting the team psyched up. And I just think, like whenever you look at good football players, there's like a body type, and Sam has that body type of just like massive dude who just kind of looks out of place for MLS because he should probably go over to Europe. Like he just has that body type.
He looks too athletic for MLS, is what you're saying.
Yes. He is 6'4" and can run like a gazelle. And I think he's poised for a big year. I mean, you look at his stats last year and the limited amount of playing time, he was outperforming Nico. I mean, and I just expect more from him this year. You look what the loan did for him. He came back and just got a brace in his first appearance, didn't he?
Yes, against San Jose.
Yeah,
that was a really interesting game if you want to break it down. But
I mean, Big Sam. Sorry. It's 10-second questions. My bad.
It's fine. We're going to cut you some leeway.
Yeah.
To answer that question, Short Tyler, it is Leuven. There are other players that I like a lot too. Look, I'm sorry that you're not as tall as you want to be. Get over it. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
He's on the back there.
It's Leuven, and it's not because of his ability on the ball. It's not because he's
because you want his tree trunk legs.
I mean, men would kill for those legs. Let's be clear. And,
Dude,
and it's not
he
the
has
fact that
thighs that all the guys are jealous of.
that's true. And also, like, him and Parker and Hebert, like, those guys do not skip bench day. Like, let's be clear about that. Those guys are muscular for soccer players.
He's built like a middle linebacker.
Exactly. Yeah, he really is built like a middle linebacker. And, like, I'm convinced that all three of those guys, well, maybe not Hebert, but I'm convinced that Parker and Leuven could play in the NFL as middle linebackers. But it's not because of his ability on the ball. It's not because of his play so much. It's kind of the behavioral off the field type things, or not related to his play,
like the leadership abilities.
Yeah, well, not really even leadership abilities. So, like, if you go to a game and you watch, you never see this on TV because the camera's always following the ball. But, like, guys go down like a lot, and I can't tell you how many times I saw last year at a game where, like, there's a guy that goes down on the other team, and it's in, their defensive half, or our defensive half, I should say, and we're, running up with the ball, or they're countering back on us, and Leuven is not tracking back, or he's not going with it. He's staying with this guy who fell, and he's checking on him and just, like, asking him, like, hey, are you okay? And I think that's incredibly classy. Not a lot of guys do that. I like the fact that he doesn't go down easy, and I mean, he is a big guy and that helps, but if he stays upright and tries to play through some of the physicality, and I like that he wants to play every game even though he shouldn't. I really like all of those things.
Quick side note here with the new rule change to the time of who do you think is our first player to commit that offense and have to sit out for 2 minutes?
I don't know. Nico and Stroud are both gone. First guy to do that. Look at him turning
maybe
the tables on us.
Indy kind of young. Maybe
Indy gets
I
up.
forget. He does.
Indy
See, that's the thing.
He gets up quick.
It's not. It won't be in the first game. It'll be against RSL, and it'll be when Marcanic starts, and Marcanic's going to do something stupid, and he's going to be the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have too many people that go and stay down anymore. I mean, most of the guys get right back up. I mean, or they're too big and they never go down.
Honest to God, most of the women I know have the same complaint, that the guys just don't stay down long enough.
You need to know other women, or other men, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, I just think I think it's probably Marcanch. That's a good one. Yeah, Celio doesn't stay. Maybe AZ Young just maybe kind of forgets.
I could see Blom in one of his slide tackles catching somebody off on and mistiming it just a step, and getting sent off for one of those.
Well, so it's not for that. It's you go down.
It's also, I thought, if you like make a on a breakaway, right? If you're stopping, essentially killing it, right? I thought there was a piece of that to it as well. You're getting
potential things mixed up here. What Tyler's referring to is if you are down on the ground for more than 15 seconds and it's not a head injury and it's not a goalkeeper, there may be a few other things. But essentially, if you're on the ground for 15 or more seconds, the medical staff will remove you from the field for further evaluation, and you have to stay off for at least 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's to prevent.
I'm thinking of the blue
sin
card
bins,
thing.
blue card thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
as far as we don't need to get on that.
No. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So we go back to diving then.
Yeah.
I was on the wrong track there.
Right. I could see it being Klaus, because Klaus isn't paying attention and is being his what the fuck thing while he sits on his ass.
Yeah.
And I could see it being Klaus and it being 17 or 18 seconds of being sent off.
Yeah. So we're back to number 2. Man.
Okay.
That first question was long. Sorry about that.
That's okay. This is why
some
we do
people
this.
like it long.
You are on fire tonight.
That's what she said.
So what position does Watts get the most minutes at this year? Central defensive mid, right back, or left back, since he's been playing there in preseason?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably I'm going to go with center defensive mid. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Back to you. Back to you for number 3.
Yeah, I think it's left back, but going to number 3.
See,
And I think I know.
you're way more down on Marcanus than I am. I like the way he plays. I think he'll be fine. So
I think that they will. I could also see the right back or actually a right wing, like right midfield position, depending on how Totland plays.
Right.
Where he could play more right mid, because you didn't put right mid on there.
Yeah.
Where he could play.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but
Love
it's
that
fine.
idea.
It's cool.
You're better at this than I am.
That's what your mom told me. So that's what Jolner's mom told me.
That's great. Sorry, Mom. My friends suck. I've made bad choices my whole life.
You know what? Your mom is a nice lady and somebody that I enjoy having discussions with anytime we have family get-togethers that you invite me to. So I think I know what your answer is going to be on this one based on what we said earlier. But who plays more minutes this year? Durkin or Blom?
I think Durkin. Yeah. He's kind of in that Sam camp too, of just having the body of a high level football player. So like I said, I just think he overtakes Blum at some point. And not that, I think Carnell gets a minute somewhere else. He's inevitable. So.
And Blom, I think, could also work his way back into the national team picture. I think, there are fitness concerns that we saw a lot last year,
especially in the summer. Doesn't like that
especially
super
in the
hot
summer.
weather.
Yeah,
and Durkin played in Washington last year. He kind of knows, he's
Right.
been in MLS,
Exactly.
so he's more used to the weather.
Now, this is one that we should know within the next 3-ish days, I guess. Will they announce that Brendan McScorley, as they like to yell, especially Tim Parker, has been signed to a first-team contract? Or will he be signed to a City 2 contract?
I could see him in City 2 mainly just because we have the ability to bring him up if we need him. So
Yeah.
I do think he probably starts off on City 2. I think we're more likely to see Kojima get a first-team contract. I don't think Kojima will play like a ton. I mean, there's obviously games where he'll have to rotate in, but I just think McSorley, I just think he needs a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more time to just get used to the NFL, or not the NFL, MLS, Jesus, calendar and schedule.
Yeah, I think, before I hand it back to Tyler, I think they both get first-team contracts, and I think that they both, especially McSorley, I think he, because first-team players can play for City 2 without, like, any limitations. And I think he does that and then can play as much as we need with the first team. And then if we sign another striker in the summer window, I think they use that full season loan to send them down to City 2 for the rest of the year is my thought. But anyway, on to Tyler.
All right. So
You want to do number 6 and I can do number 5?
Yeah, I
okay.
tried to rearrange them and I dragged it to the wrong spot. So
I see what you wanted. Yeah, I knew what you wanted.
Because this led right into a question that I wanted to ask, which is this season, McSorley, Kojima, or Glover, who makes the biggest impact or gets the most minutes?
Biggest impact? Probably Glover. I think they will utilize him some. But I personally would rather see Kojima more. I have really been impressed with him. So, and just his attitude, I think he's already kind of got that professional level attitude. Glover's still pretty young. McSorley's still pretty young. I think he comes in with a little bit better of a professional mind about him and is better with the day-to-day stuff. But yeah. I'm going to say Glover just because he is a striker. Make it a goal. We'll probably see him definitely, I think, in that first U.S. Open Cup game.
Oh, for sure. I think all three of them could play in that U.S.
potentially,
Open Cup game.
So, but
follow-up question to that, which is not on the list.
Ooh.
If McSorley goes to City 2 and they feel like he is ready, do you see them potentially loaning him out to somewhere similar to Perez?
Like next season, you mean? Like not in the middle of this season. You mean like between this season and
not
next
in the
season?
middle of this season. I don't see him getting loaned out this season. But if he doesn't break it into the first team, do you see McSorley getting loaned out next season?
I would like to if he's not going to get minutes, sure, just so he can get some playing time and again get that professional lifestyle under his belt. I mean, I think that's half the battle right there is just learning how to be a professional. So, but I mean, I could definitely see it. I mean, follows this, like you said, follows the same trajectory as Perez. You know, I wouldn't mind it.
Well, that is actually the next question that is about Miguel Perez. So if you listen to other podcasts, and I know that you do, you hear a lot of a thing that gets thrown around a lot, it sounds like, is that Perez could be like Big Sam, where we play, Sam did not play the first few games, and then so they loaned him out to San Antonio, and then they recalled him when we needed him. And he came back and he was on fire. And people seem to think that we're just going to, that we're going to pull Perez back in the middle of the year and he's just going to be lights out because he's been playing at USL for a few months. And so my question is, and I don't agree with that theory, I should say that.
Yeah.
Do you think he will stay loaned the full season to Birmingham Legion, or do you think we will recall him in the middle of the year?
I would like to see him spend the whole year there. I think the only reason they bring him back is for, like, if Blum's out for an extended period of time, or like Blum and Durkin both go down. I mean, I think they maybe call him back then, but unless there's some long-term injury, I think they try their best to keep him down with Birmingham just so he can get that. And again, Perez is a little different from Sam because Sam has that Greek god body. Perez is a fucking beanpole. Love the kid to death, but he's a beanpole and just needs to be hit in the gym every day. Same thing with Markanich. That dude just needs to spend every day in the gym. But if he can put some muscle on and really, especially if they want him playing that central defensive mid. I mean, Blum's not the biggest guy, but he's got strength. And I think that's something that Perez is still lacking. And I think, hopefully Birmingham just has a really good weightlifting area because he needs it.
So you'd say
I think he has great quality though.
You're hammering. So you're saying you're hammering down on Perez staying loaned out for the whole season.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Shout out Kaylor Hodges. You are going to love that if you listen to us, which I know you don't, buddy. But if you did, so funny thing that you said that about Blum before we move on, because when Indy did his City Voices episode last year, they asked him, like, who's the strongest on the ball, and his answer was actually Blum.
Yeah, that dude.
Blum
that
is
dude
the
can
one guy
control
he
the ball,
cannot
man.
get the ball from.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say is, I've only been able to watch one Birmingham Legion preseason game so far because they've only streamed the one. But from what I've heard, he's actually been playing more, and he definitely did in that game too. He's actually been playing more as an attacking midfielder. For Legion, which is interesting, which when you think of what he needs to improve on, it's his on the ball skills. So you're going to put him in a position where he's going to have to be on the ball a little bit more. But anyway, so then we kind of flip-flopped a little bit.
It'd be my question because you just asked the Perez, so we're on to 7.
Oh, right. You're on 7 and you do the odds. Right. Okay, we're good.
So next question is, does St. Louis City win any hardware this year?
No. I know that's a really shitty answer, but I
almost just slammed my screen closed.
I mean, I took the under on the Blues points total, and I've been taking shit for it ever since.
I know that's kind of a pessimistic route to go, but I mean, silverware is hard to come by in the MLS. I mean, I don't think we probably get the MSL or the Supporter Shield or the MLS.
No
Ignore
Supporter
his
Shield.
hand.
Yeah. And then, the CONCACAF Cup, I think there's no real chance once we get into those Mexican teams. U.S. Open Cup, I just don't think the guys are quite ready, and then Leagues Cup, I don't even think we care about it. So I think they just kind of let that one. Which one am I forgetting?
The MLS
actual
Championship.
MLS Cup. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to say differently, but I just think, Lute said he's on a 5-year plan, and I just think it's going to take a little bit more time for everyone to gel.
I'm just saying there's 5 chances.
There are 5, but I mean,
I'm just the moment we win, I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip this segment as me counting down and shaking my head at you, just so I can be like, look, I thought it might happen, and I wanted to be more optimistic.
I would,
and I'm just going to send it to you in our group chat.
You're gonna make it real and not even post it.
That's
I'm not even going to post it to the public. I'm just going to send it just to you, just to rub the salt in.
Hey, I'll take it, because then guess what we want? I like to set my expectations low, so whenever we come in, we're achievers. We've overachieved.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, if we're just achieving, if you have low expectations and we're just achievers, like that means we're just performing poorly, like you expect.
I know you said that, but I mean, some people coming in would actually be, underachieving.
Yeah.
I don't think that worked the way that you expected. But
which one do you think? Do we have the best shot of winning then?
Open Cup.
Open Cup. Okay.
If we play, there's one of the things that's suggested is that the teams in the Champions Cup aren't going to participate in the Open Cup to reduce fixture congestion. That's one of the things that's been thrown out there. That will piss me off to no end.
Mm-hmm.
But if we participate in the Open Cup, I think that is the easiest path to.
Yeah, just because you don't have to face, the Liga MX teams.
Right.
I think.
And what really can happen is if you are not like last year, Chicago started taking it seriously way earlier than City would have. So we ended up playing a game that was mostly backups for us and mostly starters for Chicago.
Yeah.
And, Chicago's starters aren't great, but they were better than our backups, at least at that time. So, yeah. Oh, okay. My turn. So I'm going to give you guys a choice on this, and I want to hear both answers, okay?
Okay.
This question is, where does City finish in the league table at the end of the regular season? And I'm going to give you the option. Would you rather do an over-under, or would you rather do groups? And this is like what you actually think. What will they do? Not what you hope they do, what you think they will actually happen, realistic answer.
I think they will finish fourth.
Oh, okay. Great. Specific. Fourth for both of you?
Okay. Yeah. So actually, that's where I
think
have them. So
I think the range is 3 to 6, but I'm optimistic, and I will say fourth.
I think anything top 5 is a success. I realistically think third or fourth, but I think fourth is a more realistic opportunity. So fourth is actually where I'd put them as well.
Awesome. Way to go.
That was the easiest question we had yet.
That was. Nice. I was like, you were both like, we're finishing fourth. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, cool.
All right. Here's a fun one for you. And I actually want both of your answers on this one as well. What is St. Louis City's point total this year?
50.
That's a lot.
Actually, I'm going to change that. 48.
I'm going to say 47. Yeah. 46. Change it. 46.
37.
Clip that. Clip that when we hit 46.
Pessimistic now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
I honestly had initially picked them somewhere in the 45 to 50 range, so somewhere where you guys are at. But I think, again, it all depends. There's so many things that go into a season. It's hard to pick an exact number, which is why I was glad I got to ask this question and not have to answer it.
That's fair. In fact, I'm pulling up last year's table so I can see what place in the playoffs
that
gives
what
them
I
and
was
see if that
too.
correlates with it.
Why don't you ask your question? No.
In the West, 48 points would put them at 6th. So, interesting. Question. Okay. So,
the West is going to be even worse this year. That's what we're going with.
I think the West is going to. I think the West will have more parity this year. I think the teams that improved were the bottom dwellers, and I think they're going to steal some points. So I think it's going to be a more tighter, a tighter race across the board. Where I think the East is going to continue to be your top teams and your bottom teams.
Okay. Question: who do you guys think will be on the bottom of the West?
Can I say Austin? I'm going to say Austin. Or Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Minnesota. It sounds like there's a dumpster fire up there right now. So
Actually, yeah, because they don't even have a coach
Yeah.
right now, right?
So-
Yeah.
Like Minnesota.
Yeah, I was
Minnesota
like,
definitely.
Minnesota's my pick for bottom. I think Austin's going to be in the bottom 3. And I think while the Colorado Rapids have improved and signed some good players, I still don't see them outside of the bottom 5.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a 3-part question. So in our 3 tournaments that we are in for sure, other than Open Cup, so that's Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, playoffs.
Okay.
How far do you think we will go? Like, how many rounds do you think we will advance?
Okay, so for the MLS Cup, let's go. We'll advance to, I'm going to say the conference final, but then we lose
Okay.
there. I'm going to be optimistic there.
Bold.
Yeah,
bold. I
bold,
love
bold.
it. We're here for that. That's the kind of content our listeners
Champions
love.
Cup, we go out in the first round. No, I'm kidding.
Fuck off.
I think we stomp Houston into the dirt because they're so undermanned right now. Then I think we probably do lose to Columbus, unfortunately. So I think the road stops there. And then for Leagues Cup, I mean, who's the first? No, we
have a group. It's a group stage. It's like a World Cup style. So it's FC Juarez and FC Dallas.
I think we get out of the group stage this year for sure, since we're not facing like a Tigres or what is it, Monterrey and Chivas. You know, some of those higher level clubs.
Yeah,
we got kind of a bottom
yeah.
dweller club, and there's some major.
Yeah, I was going to say Club America and Columbus were as a rough pairing last year.
That fucking hurt. Yeah.
I mean, so it just, I think we get through the group stage on that, and then, I mean, it all depends on who our draw is, once the group stages are determined. So, I mean, with that, it's hard to really say, but, depending on who we get paired up with, if it's an MLS team, I think we have a good shot of going through a round. If it's a high-level Liga MX team, probably the road stops
Probably
there.
not.
Yeah, so...
Cool.
How about you guys? Mainly just
playoffs.
the cup. Yeah,
Which
So
one?
I think Champions Cup we make it to the quarterfinals because both Columbus and Houston are possession-based teams that it takes time to build that cohesion when the season starts. Leagues Cup we make it out of the group, and anything after that is bonus. And playoffs, I think we win the first round,
Hey.
and then probably go out after that.
I have some interesting thoughts there. I agree. I think we get through the first 2 rounds of Champions Cup for the same reason John stated. I think when it comes to Leagues Cup, we get out of the group. And I think this is where it gets interesting. If in the Leagues Cup we win a knockout round or 2, or we make it further in the Champions Cup, it's going to change my opinion on the playoffs because that knocked out style experience plays well when we get to the playoffs. If we don't do well in the other 2, then I think we win the first round series and we bow out. If we do well in the other 2, I think we're looking at conference final or better.
All right. Your turn, big guy. See,
All right.
there, I'm massaging your ego again.
You're just saying that because I weigh like 50 pounds more than you. Is my question for you, Tyler, though, is AZ, Big Sam, or both sold in the summer window?
I think just one of them goes. Now, which one? I don't know. I think AZ took a little bit of a drop off towards the end of last year, so I think his value's down kind of right now. And like I said, I have big expectations for Big Sam, so I think he'll definitely get some eyes. But I do think one of them goes, but probably not both, just because of the depth. I do think Lutz probably has plans to bring in a striker, but who knows? It kind of just depends on where we're at in the season. I mean, they're so fluid. I don't think anything's really set in stone with Cornell or Lutz, on any situation, honestly. So,
Okay.
I could see that. I do agree. I think they're going to bring in another striker before the transfer window's closed. In some way or another, they will have another striker on the team. and a striker with some experience.
I can't fault your logic. Next one, over under Joao Klaus goals.
Ooh, okay.
I really struggled on what to put this number on. Some of the other podcasts I heard were guessing that Klaus would have anywhere between like 10 and 13 goals. And I'm like, come on, the guy had 10 goals last year and played half the season. Like, really, that's what you're going to guess he gets this year?
You also have to remember, if he gets injured, he's also the type that is going to make sure he is 100% before he comes back.
That's true. I'm going to set the line for him at 16.5 over or under.
Under, just because of the potential injury risk. That dude has a weird ass gait, and I think he is the Zion of this league. I think he is just gonna have some weird ass fucking leg injuries throughout the year, and it's just unfortunate. I really hope that's not the case, but he runs way too weird to not have some injuries.
Every episode, if Klaus comes up, that is a comment we make, that he is the most bow-legged person we have ever seen, and he does not like look like he should be as athletic as he is in any way, shape, or form. But
so I'm gonna say under, but just barely. I do think he plays
15.
more. Yeah, I think that's the number I was hoping you would be around, and so yeah, I see him around the 15 mark. Let's see, he played in 19 matches last year with that injury, and I think he'll probably be more up around like 26. Like, I could see him missing some time, like a month or two. I don't see him missing a whole nother chunk, hopefully. So,
all right. And this is across all competitions, not league play.
Oh well, I just want
changes
play.
It.
So, if it's all competitions, I'd probably go higher then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I'm just looking at the MLS stat. So,
right.
Yeah, I'd probably say higher than. Over.
Okay. I like you said higher than, and you put your fingers like this to your lips.
No.
That's what the guy, that guy gets it. He understands what we're about.
So, next question is going to be over or under for Leuven free kick goals.
Okay.
And again, across all competitions, and I'm going to set your over under at 2.5.
And I think he had 2 last year. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did. I'm going to go over. I think that dude's a beast, and I know that one some people consider lucky. Was he shooting for the pass, or but
create your own luck.
Yeah, you put that in a dangerous position, and it just had the perfect right amount. Plus, again, he missed some time last year. Hopefully, he doesn't miss that time. I'm assuming he's healthy. I just think he's way too dangerous. Yeah.
I will say I was at the game for that first one, and we were the stadium was kind of quiet for a moment when it went in, because we were like, oh, that went in. Yeah. We were kind of surprised. But he did say afterwards that that's where he's always aiming, and if someone gets a head on it, that's great. Yeah. And if people don't, then it's hopefully on frame and can go in. So then, still related to Leuven, over under on Leuven goal contributions across all competitions. So this is direct goals that he scores and assists combined. Okay. And I'm going to put that at 13.5.
Over for sure.
Over.
Yep. I think Leuven, if he stays healthy, is going to be our all-star this year. I have high expectations for him. He's on my jersey. Second favorite player, was my favorite player last year. I think he just he's a baller. He's just going to be setting people up. I think he definitely obviously has more assists than goals, but I would probably put him closer to probably the 19 mark on goal contributions.
Shit.
I think it's going to be, I think
holy shit.
I mean, he had 15 last year just in MLS.
Did he really have 15?
Yeah.
I thought he had
And-
12.
And,
No.
Yeah.
on only
Yeah.
12 or only 29 starts in MLS. So I
I
mean,
should have set that line at 15.5 then. Yeah, doesn't matter.
so, but yeah, I think over.
We didn't bet, so it doesn't matter if I made a bad line.
Next question. There's been some additions in the league in this position, so it'll be interesting to see your take on this. Does Berkey repeat as goalkeeper of the year?
Yes. Let me say that with all my chest. Yes.
Yes.
Can you say it more? More in a way that would turn me on.
Sensual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say it. Yeah, I think he wins again. Berkey's the best. I mean, I'm a Tottenham fan, so I love Hugo, but dude's washed up. So, yeah. I think
he got
they're going to be a little by a center back.
Posterized by-
Yeah.
by a backup center back.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Berkey's got that on lockdown. So, and
All right.
so Zach Steffen can, yeah,
No,
he should go to
that's
League
not-
One
Yeah,
over in England.
that is a drop off. Okay. City 2 players. So these are people not signed to first team contracts. These are guys like Johnny
Yep.
Klein, etc.
Tyson Pierce.
Tyson. No, he has a homegrown contract. He's a first team player technically.
Okay.
City 2 player that gets the most significant minutes or a first team contract before the start of the 2025 season.
Well, I think they're going to have McSorley on City too, so I'm going to say him because I do think they bring him up, but I think he is a. I think they sign him to a City 2 contract, so I'm going to say him.
Got it. I was going to go with Michael Vincel myself, but can't hate that.
I think we're okay at center
one.
back just because Jake can also play center back if necessary.
That's
if
true,
there's an
but we have-
injury. So
Yeah.
And actually, Durkin's played there as well.
yeah, he would be
Right.
fine there. I mean, obviously, I don't think they
Well,
would want to
and-
play him there, but
And it wasn't really by plan, but there was at least one game where we used Blom as kind of a third central center back.
yeah, I
at
think
one
like a
point.
sub. There was like a sub
Yeah.
thing where he kind of
They-
basically played
Right.
further back.
It was like our very pitiful attempt at a low block,
Mm-hmm.
which is not how we're built. But number 17, Tyler's going to ask this. Short Tyler's going to ask this, but I just have to say 17 is my lucky number. So I was about to add another question, and then I was like, nah. It's a good question. It's a good one to end on. 17 is my favorite. Let's go.
What is our record against Sporting Kansas this year?
Are we
Play
just
them
doing
3
him?
times.
Okay, so we're just doing MLS. Okay.
Yeah, the 3 guaranteed games that we
Yeah.
have against them.
We know
Yeah.
we were for sure playing them 3 times.
And we get 2 home games this year again, right? No, we're away
They
twice.
get 2 home
Okay.
games. Yeah, but City Park West is like a second home game.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna say 2-1-0. I say we get 2 wins, but we lose one. One of them on the road, of course. I think we steal one from them in Kansas.
God, I hope so. I hope it's like a 6-0 beating
Yeah,
because their
I-
barbecue lacks flavor, and it's not. It's false advertising.
I hope
That's
it's like
what
a
about.
3-2 with us getting the score and like extra time to really just like stick them at them.
It needs to be one of those two. It either needs to be an absolute beatdown or one where we score like we're down 2-1 and we score 2
Right.
goals, one in like the 88th and one
Yeah.
in the 92nd
Agreed.
minute.
You need to just
I mean-
grab their hearts and rip them out.
I mean, Chelsea has won some games that way this year, and I can tell you it's a very frustrating 88 minutes and then 4 minutes of like, what the fuck just happened to me? So,
Oh yeah, that sounds like most of the dates that you've been on in your life, John.
no, most of the dates that I've been on in my life have been with my wife, and they've been very chill because I'm very comfortable in this relationship at this point. 12 years on, if you can imagine.
Come on, just let me have one here, man.
I can't.
God.
Just once. Can you be cool?
Just let me have my joke. Just laugh and say,
I'd
"Oh
rather
yeah,
not.
you're moderately funny at times." That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah. Would you like me to like set you up? Should I like say like, do you know who's not moderately funny? And let you take that from there.
No.
Okay. Segue yourself then.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a better question. We did have a lot of different kits that were released, and you and I, all three of us, were in a group chat together, and we've been discussing their kits. There's been some really good ones. There's been some meh or not so good ones. I think we could all agree the Minnesota kit was pretty nice. We all liked the
Sexy.
Seattle kit with especially with those blue shorts was
Don't
looking
put words
real
in my
good.
mouth. It's fine.
I know
Put other
we-
things in your mouth.
I know we hate them, but I mean, Sportings is pretty nice with the Argyle. So
Oh yeah, Sporting's is.
It's nice that they brought the
year.
Argyle back. I appreciate seeing that. You know, another kit that I really liked, surprisingly, was Colorado's kit. But do you know what I don't like is their owner, Stan Kroenke.
it's kind of a
that guy
knockoff of
is a
ours, though, with
real-
the whole geometric wavy. Theirs is just blocks instead of lines, and it's the wavy pattern.
Yeah.
So they
Sure, Tyler
ripped
also
us
likes
off again.
checkers.
Stan Kroenke is always trying to rip off St. Louis. Sadly, the guy is a real piece of shit. And for that, we hate him. Most importantly, Stan Kroenke, I hope you go to bed listening to this and realizing how much all of us hate you. Good night.
But back